Hi everyone, it's Ryan here from 100% Plumbing. Just want to spend a couple of minutes going over this job we completed a couple of years ago, which is a pretty good example of why it costs the client money to have the wrong contractor on site. Now, a lot of clients I speak to, their main concern, well, it's nearly always their concern, is that they've had the wrong contractor on site before and it's cost them money. Usually, it's the cheapest quote, which ends up costing them the most money. The irony of that is fantastic. But if you have a job quoted by contractors, it's not always the best idea to go at the cheapest. And it's hard for a client also because if you haven't had that experience with the business before, you're really not sure on what they're capable of. So I implore anyone, if they're getting any sort of work done, plumbing, electrical, any contractor on site, just to do some research online first. It's only going to take 5-10 minutes to look at previous work, reviews, even see how long these guys have been in business, because it's a pretty good indicator if they're a good tradesman or not, because shit tradesmen don't last, and that's a good thing. If you have a bad tradesman on site, just don't use them again. They'll have two options. They either need to get better or they go out of business. So in the end, paying what a lot of clients may think is an expensive quote or a job that's going to cost them more than they think, it's just because that's how much it costs to repair. Plumbing material in itself is expensive. Electrical material in itself is expensive. And then getting the qualified tradesman on site is expensive. But if they're on site and they're efficient and they know what they're doing and they get the job done, it costs you less. So it's super important to get the right contractor on site looking at your issue rather than the wrong one, because it's going to cost you money in the end. So I'll quickly outline what happened on this job. You can see here this hole we've dug. So this is a large property that is on rainwater. So the whole house at this property, the rainwater collects in a storage tank, and they use that for everything in the household, which is cleaning, showering, drinking even. And they'd been in the property for a couple of months and the water just never got clean. So they initially thought there was just some sort of dirt in the lines that flushed through, and after a couple of months it would solve itself, but it just got worse and worse. And they noticed a small patch in the backyard, which you can see where a hole is, where they had some pavers falling, sort of diving into the ground in a damp area. So we spent an afternoon shoveling, and it became pretty obvious that we're going to need something bigger than a shovel. You'll see here, beautifully landscaped, nice pool area, all complete. The last thing this person wants is to dig up their yard, and that's what we had to do. So I think there's a video of this next clip we'll take a look at. We've brought in a small machine and I'm at head height here depth. We got Blake in the machine doing some digging. So you see here, this is basically our issue, and I'll quickly explain why this happened. So these pipes were connected initially on installation, but the force of the ground, the backfill, has just broken the pipe, and it just constantly drug mud into the line, filling up their tank with dirty water. Obviously a major health concern considering this is their main source of water. If we skip right here, you'll see the level on the line. It's dropped at least 80-90 millimeters. Pretty unacceptable, to be honest, for something as simple as this. What did he do wrong? The only thing he did wrong was not backfill properly. He needed to use a 10 millimeter gravel to surround the pipes completely. So what the gravel does around the pipe work, as it wraps around the pipe and settles, but it keeps the pipe supported and doesn't drag the pipe into the ground. In this case, he's just used the clay, and the weight of the clay has just compressed it down and broken the pipe. And obviously, once it's broken, this is what we end up with. You can see here, pretty big hole in the end. We've had to dig all of this out back further just to get access properly, and the pipe was kind of sketchy, so we've had to replace the whole section. I'll quickly skip forward here. You'll see up here in the right hand side corner, that's where our hole is. And then the pipe travels through underneath the stone fence, and it used to continue left here. Once we fixed the area up the top and tested the line, it still was leaking. So we found another problem area here. And at this point, we just cut our losses and we dug a complete new line here to fill the tank with, so we could ensure that it was correct. This pipe actually wraps around the tank. So if we skip back here, this is a little outlet here, a flush line. So anytime they want to clean the line out, we can just flush it from this line. You can see some backfill material. This is the gravel we're speaking of. This is the kind of fill that needs to be around the pipe work. Very simple. The fact that this contractor didn't do it, this is something the client wouldn't know about and probably wouldn't realise at the time. And I can just see the questions now. Why wouldn't you get the plumber back to fix it? Well, here's the kicker. If you've got a bad contractor on site to begin with, do you really want him back on site to fix this sort of issue? In most cases, you don't. As you can see, the inlet pipe here, the client also had to get the tank pumped out, completely gurney cleaned and refilled. So there was another cost incurred. You'll see up the top here, this is our finished product. It doesn't look brilliant, to be honest, but it is repaired. We've done what we could with the area and it's completely sealed. We're testing it here with the hose. And we know this is going to be sound and do the job, whereas before it did not. You can just see the repair here as well, and backfill material. So the whole pipe is supported at all times, and this was also filled around the pipe as we backfilled. So what's the point here? It's simple. You need the right guys on site to begin with, because it will cost you guys more in the end. A lot of people want to go with the cheaper option, and in some cases, maybe the cheaper option is fine, but small lapses with the contractor, whether they don't have the knowledge or they're being careless, can cost you a lot of money in the long run. So it's worth spending the extra money, getting the right contractor, getting a good relationship with that contractor or the business, and reusing them, because it pays dividends in the end. It speaks from experience. We've been doing this over 10 years now, and the only complaint we hear from people is how to find good contractors. A lot of the time, once they find us, they stick with us. It's because they're getting an honest service with the knowledge on how to do the job properly. And in the end, it's not really that hard. There's just a lot of careless people in the industry, unfortunately. You can check our website out if you ever needed some plumbing or electrical done. We do plumbing and electrical. This is the website. Portfolio here. There's a few houses here. There's some odds and ends on here that you can check out. Our services, YouTube channel, contact. That's our number, 1-800-100-737. You can call that number for both plumbing and electrical. Just select the dial, 1 or 2. It'll forward directly to myself or my brother who runs the electrical side of the business. And you can shoot an SMS, which will come straight to my phone. Put in your mobile number so I can contact you back and your inquiry, and that'll come straight to my phone and I'll see what the problem is. We head back to the front page here. You can also check out our Google business page. There's a couple of reviews on there. The more reviews on this, the better really for us. Here's currently our service area. It's actually larger than this. I'm not sure why it crops like that, but if you need a job coming up, plumbing or electrical, feel free, give us a call, 1-800-100-737. The website there, 100%.plumbing. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something, and just know the importance of getting the right contractor on site. Thanks for watching.